What's up, bros? Welcome to another Brograph Brocast. I'm Dave.
And I'm Matt.
We got episode 45 up in here today.
45. Have we been doing this for a year now? When was our very first episode?
You know, that's a good question. I should probably check that out on iTunes.
Yes,
I'm
you
going to
should.
check that out. If you haven't listened to the show before, we're a motion graphics podcast, and we talk about the business, and we talk about doing motion graphics, Cinema 4D, After Effects, and just everything kind of in general around it, along with some general rat holisms, where we
There are plenty of rat holisms.
venture off into some areas that
It's funny.
people usually don't care to tread onto. But it's doing very well. We had another record-breaking week, I think.
Yeah, we did.
Or close to, at least.
Yes, we broke the record.
Oh, nice. So that's fun. We're getting a good response, and from the emails and stuff we get, we're really liking that. It's great to hear from everybody.
It's really good to hear from you.
You know, getting the emails and stuff like that is just, it's so great. It's so great to have the feedback. You know, we love interacting with everybody.
Yeah.
And
You guys are making us look cool.
I know.
Because,
we're
like,
not cool.
I always tell my wife the only reason I do this is so that she will think that I'm cooler than I actually am.
Uh-huh.
You know? And every time you guys send an email, I always give my phone over to her. I say, hey, can you read this for me while we're in the car? You know? Just so that you guys can make me look cooler than I actually am.
I'm kind of a big deal.
I'm kind of a big deal. Okay, so our very first podcast was August 24th, 2015. Nice. Mm-hmm. We are almost at a year.
Wow.
I think next week would technically be a year or the week after?
I don't know.
I don't know.
We haven't done every week, so it wouldn't be like episode 52 or whatever.
Right.
But wow. Yeah, that's pretty dope.
Technically, next week would be like a full year. So
Next
look out
week?
for that, episode 46.
Wait, next week?
Next
Or
week.
the
Well,
week
because,
after?
you know, if you're counting 52 continuous weeks or whatever, you know, you don't count the week that it actually is. You wouldn't count the week of the 24th.
Well, it's like your birthday. What's the closest to the birthday? If this is the 24th, so our podcast on the 21st would be closest. Right in between the 21st and 28th podcast. of
Okay,
August.
2 weeks. If you're listening to episode 47, if you're listening to this and it's already been 2 weeks, jump ahead to episode 47. It's sure to be a hoot. We're going to have a birthday party.
Are we?
No.
Yeah, we should do something cool. Maybe we'll have somebody cool on.
Ooh. Get David on
cousin.
again. He's my favorite.
So this week we're recording on a Monday as opposed to the Sunday that we usually do because number one, you were moving.
Oh my gosh, moving is the worst. Moving in Texas in August.
Why did you choose that?
Dude, I just, you know, we had the fun idea to move and we just decided to go with it. It was an awful idea. I was dead at the time.
I was dead at the time.
I don't know.
Yeah, so, and your internet is kind of a deal too, so hopefully everything goes well here, because you don't have many options.
I have, okay, I'm just going to go off on a rant here.
Oh, here we go.
The internet is stupid. Like, the fact that I think the internet needs to be run like the electricity companies. You know, you choose who you want to use for electricity. You pay them, but the electricity is the same no matter where you're at. You know, but because I'm stuck with either Charter or AT&T, and my highest upload I can get is 7 megabit per second if I'm paying like an exorbitant amount of money.
It's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
It's so ridiculous.
You know, and like AT&T, I think I can get 8 megabit per second, but they limit me to 600 gigs a month. You know?
Right.
And I don't know if I'm going to go over that or not. Maybe I just... and it's $100 installation fee. I'm just like, really? $100?
Yeah, to plug in a Cat 5 cable.
Right.
Well, the good news is this is only temporary.
Is it?
Well, I mean, your current residence is only temporary.
Well, I don't know. I don't know how long it's going to be.
Well, that's the good thing, right? Like, now you know when you seek out your next place of residence that's like the big deal is to have like good internet.
Yeah. We're going to move wherever Google is.
Yeah, well, hopefully they come everywhere.
Oh gosh.
That's what she said.
Shut up.
The other reason though that we had the delay is because we had another full weekend
Poke Rock extravaganza.
We did another one. We did a Poke Rock Celebrity Edition. This time
with Seth Rogen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Moving up in the world, dog.
Yeah, I guess.
So we're gonna have a link to that, and I'm gonna bring it up right now and do the old refresh because I've had it
and
sitting
see what
here.
the numbers are.
Yeah, let's see what we're at now.
It is ridiculous, like how fast these numbers just grow.
I'm gonna tell you, this video was posted 6 hours ago.
From when we are doing the podcast.
From when we are recording right now, it is at 136,000 views.
Gosh.
Oh my God, that is such power.
Yep.
That is mind blowing. And you know the thing about it too, I was looking at these comments. Every time he posts a video, he stays online and talks to people for a while as soon as it's posted.
You think that's him? Actually, you think that's actually him?
According to who we're working with, he gets on it at the beginning. I mean, he doesn't stay on it, but he gets on it, and you can see people, who write different things on here. Like legend has it that no matter how early you comment, because it's supposed to be like everybody's been talking about this in the comments. If you comment early, he will actually talk to you. And so, this person says, "Oh, sorry, that's my alarm, reminding me to go baste my meat."
That is a euphemism.
You know, the thing is, if I've done it before, I have left the crock pot going and gone through the whole podcast and then just had the worst meat. And I got a roast thing going right now. I'm going to turn it into shredded beef tacos. But I
thought you already made all your meals for the week.
Right, but the problem is I'm not getting enough calories. That's my problem. Because on the days I'm working out, which is every day, I'm supposed to have more. So now I don't have enough food, so I'm making
now you'll
tacos.
just lose more weight.
So anyway,
if you don't eat that stuff.
No, that's not true. That's the point.
Calorie in, calorie out.
That's not how it works. I've been working with trainers and like professionals to get my macros down.
I weigh a lot, and I am just as professional.
Here's the deal. If you go under in calories, your metabolism slows down. And then when you do eat, you'll gain more weight. It's like this.
So
I've been learning a lot.
Saying that we should actually eat more while we work out. Like
yes.
5,000 calories a day.
You multiply.
So
you,
when I
get
work
your numbers
out and
you
I'm just eating a
by
box of Twinkies the whole time.
Not that kind of food.
Actually, Twinkies aren't that
good
bad.
Food.
It's only got 3 points. Because I do Weight Watchers.
But it's all sugar.
It's amazing, though.
Maybe we should ask The Rock when he first posts.
Trust me, I've already looked at The Rock's workout regimen. It's amazing. It's basically like he works out in the morning for 2 hours and then has a filet mignon for breakfast and then has 2 giant things of chicken. But have you seen that picture, his cheat day, where he had a giant, huge stack of pancakes? Gosh, I would take a nap right after that.
Anyway, this guy says
pancakes sound good right now.
This guy said legend has it no matter how early you comment, The Rock never replies, and he says, "Is that so?" Right beneath. But when he comments as himself on the channel, he actually puts DJ after what he says.
Oh, that's interesting.
So he's not playing off like everything on this channel that's written is him, but when he does write, he signs his initials.
You know, he used to play Canadian football.
A.
Mm-hmm. I've read his biography.
So soccer? I don't know. I thought everybody called it soccer. Or I don't know.
You know, I actually read somewhere that the English still called it soccer up until the 60s when they started changing it to football in order to be different than the Americans or something, to separate themselves from I don't know, it's weird.
Well, we'll never give into that because just look where we are. with not accepting metrics.
Right.
Yeah.
Which
So
we
that'll
should.
never happen. Yeah, I mean, technically we should. It'd be a lot easier when I'm in Cinema 4D doing stuff.
I know.
But so for this, here's the thing. Although the animation like for this stuff is like rudimentary, you know, and very video game-ish, kind of quasi low poly and whatnot.
Yeah.
Like it's really fun to be able to like create this stuff in Cinema 4D.
Yeah.
And just create silly stuff but like also be getting paid for it.
Yeah, totally.
Because this stuff is goofy.
Yeah.
Let's just put, you know, you watch the video and you'll see it's like, it's super goofy. It's like, it's part 2 to the first version we talked about a couple of weeks ago. And Seth Rogen is out there and he's looking for the Poke Rock because he has stolen his friend James Franco's prize Charizard. Is that what it is?
Yeah, I guess. I wish they had done something better with that. You know,
Yeah,
I feel like,
yeah.
I mean, come on, it's Seth Rogen. Seth Rogen is like BFF with James
They're dude
Franco.
bros.
He could have just like had James Franco like send him a video on his phone of him crying or something.
Yeah.
You know?
Who knows? Who
I
knows
mean,
what
the
he's doing right now?
the video's basically all just to promote Sausage Fest, new
Sausage
movie
Party.
coming
Sausage
out this
Party.
weekend, August 11th.
Yeah, but you know what? Here's the thing.
Check
Now,
your local listings.
Yeah, this is very relevant to what we talk about in the show because when you're out there making videos and stuff like this and you're working in video, like just all this online stuff, not just the fact that all this stuff is going to YouTube, an online video, and people are putting a lot of money into it. They're putting a lot of time and resources and like professional gear. Like there's no difference now on a lot of these between what people are using to shoot stuff for YouTube and what they're using to shoot for regular TV and how far they're willing to go for special effects and 3D animation and the whole thing. And
it kind of goes back to what I mentioned last week where I was watching the Numa guy and it was like super pixelated and I remember it being clear even though I'm pretty sure it was just pixelated the whole time. You know, I think us in the past 5 years, 6 years have gotten so used to like pixelation and, you know, compressed video and bad lighting and, you know, whatever, that it's like, it's normal now, you know?
Well, your mind fills in the blanks and that's how MP3s and audio files and everything work. I mean, if you go down to the, you know, nano level and you're looking at, I mean, that's what bitrate is. Yeah. Right. You know, it's like your mind is filling in the blanks, especially with this MP3 stuff. And so there's actually things that talk about when you listen to really badly compressed audio, even if you can't totally notice it, your brain actually gets worn out from listening to it. Yeah. Like there's actually an amount of kind of like wear and tear that happens where you get a little worn out from having your brain having to fill in the blanks. That's why people say they like listening to analog audio so much more because there aren't any blanks in there. Yeah. You know, it's the whole thing and people feel like it sounds warmer and they're more relaxed when they listen to it. Yeah.
I just hooked up, so I was setting up my office tonight, and I decided that I'm going to put my record player in there. I haven't had it hooked up in a while, but...
You should.
Yeah, I mean, I like it. And I've got a whole good collection of records, you know, that I just don't play.
I'm going to get you a copy of Al Jarreau's Look to the Rainbow, or whatever it is. It's
okay.
A good album. Let me tell you about that album. There's so much about that album, and... You know, this kind of music isn't for everybody, and I didn't really think I was into it, but I listened to it, and I'm really into the album just because of it's a live performance, and you hear all this live stuff in it. There's one song in particular where it's really soft, and it really goes down. There's a lot of dynamic range in it and everything. It gets real quiet, and then the next note that he belts out in the stadium is really loud. Now, if you're listening to this on the record with the volume turned up, because this was recorded onto tape when it was live and then put onto a record, there's the magnetic residue that have you heard of this? This is what I learned in audio class growing up. There's a magnetic residue thing that'll happen where if the magnetism is strong enough in certain sections of the tape, it actually bleeds through to the second layer of the tape that it was wound around.
Oh, interesting.
You know, because it's going around the reel. So there's this point in the record, it gets real quiet, and he like takes a deep breath, and he sings the word joy really loud. But before he sings it really low, you can hear it.
Interesting.
Like you can pre-hear it because it was such a belt that it bled through in the magnetic tape they were using to record at the time.
That's super cool.
So anyway, all that somehow back to The Rock.
I love these little tangents about like old technology that you and I get on. Like I feel like the podcast sometimes turns to us as old men where we're like, yeah, back in my day we had analog film and analog tape and it bled through and stuff.
But it's awesome though. It's awesome. That's why I like listening to this stuff. So here's the point that I was going to make about the whole thing with Pokey Rock and the Sausage Fest or whatever it is that, you know, when people launch something like a YouTube channel, or they launch something like even like apps and stuff. People launch apps. They launch Twitter, and they're like, "How are we going to use Twitter? Oh, how are you going to make money off Twitter? I don't know. We'll figure it out later." You know, that kind of thing. Well, whenever a YouTube channel or something launches, and you and I know this firsthand, there's not a lot of money to be made in advertising from YouTube ads.
Yeah, there's no money unless you're getting Rock level,
exactly.
You know, or Gregory Brothers level,
right?
You know, 1 million hits every video. You're not going to make any money.
But the biggest thing, though, is that you start to leverage your hits with your own sponsorship and advertising, and you don't run those ads, and you just forgo that because you're like, oh, it's going to give me a couple pennies per whatever.
Correct.
I'm just going to do
we
deals
made more money
like a television network.
We made more money on our plugin the very first day than we had in all of 3 years of advertising on YouTube.
And this isn't anything new, and this isn't a big like epiphany or anything, but it's mainly the fact that when he launched this channel and got almost and over now, he's at 1.1 million subs.
Wow.
When that happened, I was telling people about it, and they're like, oh, so he's launching a channel. He's like, well, what for? You know, how's he going to make money? You know, that kind of thing, right? And people, a lot of people still don't understand the power of that. And you know, it's like I knew this, but it didn't really like sink in until this happened. Is I got the raw footage for this thing to start doing the motion tracks on it this weekend, and I'm watching it, and then at the end as well, you know, The Rock comes on and he's talking about, and make sure you check out Seth Rogen's new movie Sausage Party, and I'm like, yes, this is the thing. This is how it all ties together right here, because already this thing is up, and now it's time to cross promote. It's entertainment mixed with advertising. You know, it's the whole thing. I mean, that is how it works. Now, I don't necessarily think any money changed hands for this in particular.
Yeah,
you know, there might be some other deals and stuff. I don't know. I don't ask. It's none of my business anyway. But it kind of just clicked where I'm like, okay, I see where this is going now. This is good. He's started a production company. This is a really good thing. He's got a lot of pull. He's doing an online network.
You spend a certain amount of money to guarantee that at least 1 million people, 2 million people will see an advertisement or whatever for you.
Right.
You know, it's the same thing with politics, you know? You know, Republicans, if they want to put they want to lower their taxes, they'll just spend $1 million, $2 million, $3 million, $10 million in order to get their person in office. Then they cut taxes and they save themselves $1 billion.
Right. Exactly. You know, there's
if you're
politics
into that
in
kind
it.
of thing.
Yeah. But the thing with this is like, you know, we're at 130,000 views already. And I'm sure this will hit. I mean, the other one is 2.5 million right now. Yeah. And when you can say, "Look, we're gonna put this out, and millions of people are gonna see it," that's a lot of power right there. You know, we were at 136, I guess, last time I refreshed it. Now we're at 137,000. Like 1,000 people have watched it since the last time that we mentioned it.
Yeah.
And we should do that throughout the show.
It's like $1 an hour.
It's like $1 an hour. So it's cool. So this time around, this was interesting because it's the same kind of, easy 2D tracks in Mocha that we did before, kind of purposely making it look kind of crappy and whatnot. But
except at the end.
Except at the end. And it's funny, I did not use Octane for this.
Yeah.
But we had to do a 3D track. And
okay, so should we do a spoiler alert?
No, you mean for this video?
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever. Just
okay. Spoiler alert. Go watch the video right now in the link. We're about to spoil it. All right, go ahead.
Okay. So on this track, this is really cool because Dropbox is great. We're all collaborating through there and all that. And there's people in all different states. We're shooting one. I think that it was shot in New York. Because you have to work around everybody's schedules, and there's so many details to work out, even on a simple video like this. And the thing about it is it was shot on a 5D, I believe, and so you've got
the
all that.
Color looked really good.
Color was great. I was really impressed by that, actually. And the whole thing about it, though, is that the pan across to the shot of the rock, what happens is he can't catch him, and he tries to use a master ball, which a master ball doesn't exist yet. So I just built a master ball in Cinema 4D and put it in there and matched. I literally went frame by frame and matched the movements from the video game.
Oh, that's funny.
And the camera pans over to reveal that PokeRock is now in the real world. So what that
IRL.
means, IRL. So what that means, though, is that you got to make them look a little bit better than the video game. So it means you have to do a real 3D track with PF Track. It means that you want the shading to be right and whatnot. You want to have, just the accurate lighting and textures, maybe a little bit better. We didn't change the model at all. We weren't going to go down that route. There's not enough time for that. Just use the same model, but just have a distinction between what you're seeing in the app and then when you see them in real life. And so, when you're recording with a camera like that, and you've got somebody way up in the grill of the camera, you got all that depth of field.
Yeah.
And so it's very difficult for someone running handheld and trying to make it look like he's holding onto the camera when you do a swish pan over to focus, to pull focus and then pull back. I mean, they didn't, as a simple crew, they don't have like people pulling focus and whatnot. So the trick was they recorded all of that first. And then somebody else went out at the same time of day the next day and stood in the exact same place and did another swish pan over and held it for quite a while and then swished it back. And so our job was to, first of all, match the scenes with the timing, because at the time we didn't know how long the swish pan was supposed to be, but then meld the shots together so that when the swish pan happens, you've got an in-focus shot way down there of the alley, as opposed to what the raw footage was, which was a bunch of blurred out stuff because they didn't want to change their focus. Because it would just be too difficult running a handheld 5D. So it's pretty simple stuff to do. But when you're working remotely like this, you always have concerns, because your first concern is what happens if I can't pull this 3D track easily?
Right.
Because if you've done this before, it's a crapshoot, depending on how you set it up, especially if you're run and gunning the whole thing. We're not putting trackers out. We're not getting super technical detailed on it. I had lens information, so I knew sensor size and stuff like that. But what I didn't have was tracking markers.
Yeah.
And I said, you guys can put them out there, but then I'm going to have to paint them out, and I don't have a lot of time to do that. So the good thing is, you kind of cheat it. We talked about what the area should look like, and they wanted to find a place where it wouldn't attract too much attention, because what is Seth Rogen doing in an alley? Yeah. With a cell phone playing Pokemon.
Right.
And you couldn't get much better than 3D tracking an alleyway.
Yeah.
Because, like I told him on the phone, I was like, something with good graphic vectors or whatever it is, it needs to be something that we're not going to fall into a bad situation. And then It's not that I can't get it done at that point. It's that there's not enough time.
Yeah.
And I don't want to have to call somebody else up and say, hey.
And I think the location that they chose was really good, specifically because it had so much like graffiti everywhere and stuff like that. Did that make it easier to track?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, good.
Yeah, it did. The thing about a 5D, of course, is you get the jello.
Yeah.
You know, so you got that roll. So it's really the swish pan is hard to track because when you swish, everything becomes diagonal.
Yeah.
All your straight lines become diagonal.
Did you not use the Jello fixer in After Effects?
It
was like a Jello fixer or something.
Well, no. The thing is, I didn't need to.
Okay. Well, good.
Yeah.
Because you're just amazing like that.
Well, it's all after the swish pan,
yeah.
You know, so you just have to make sure that you can pick it up at the right time. What was fun about this, though, is that in order to make them look a little bit better than standard render that we were using before, I, wanted to match the light in the scene. And we've talked about Photosynth on the show.
Yeah.
And Photosynth is really a great app, but they've discontinued it.
Mm-hmm.
So you used to be able to do spherical 360s.
Yeah, is that the one that you did the tutorial on?
Yes. So that's now outdated and unusable. So. Great. Thanks for bringing that up. Yeah, so...
That's all right. I'll never go back to my rendering cola bottle once ever again.
So the camera that Nick Campbell's been talking about, what is it called? Ricoh? How do you pronounce that?
I don't know.
Ricoh 360 or whatever?
Is it RICHO or something?
Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce it.
It looks like yeah,
something like that.
Yeah, it's Ricoh.
They basically set it on the ground there and just did a 360 and pulled me a spherical photo.
And it looked awesome.
I mean, it fit perfect. I put it right in. I flipped the x-axis so it was going the right way from the inside of a sphere, and just brought it right in and put some AO on there and some GI, and man, it rendered quick.
Yeah.
And I haven't done a GI render in probably 4 years at this point.
Yeah.
and so that's, I was like,
I have when I was testing out Quick Sky on Luminous.
Nice.
The new Brograph plugin.
Did you talk about this last week?
I think I did. No, I mean, I mentioned that. Yes, I mentioned that we had played around with it, and we were probably going to send it out to beta testers. Well,
which we did. Oh yeah, because we mentioned on the show and people sent it in, sent in emails.
Yeah, yeah,
of course.
So,
yeah.
Should I go into this?
Yeah, actually, you should bring up the email from
Sage.
From Sage,
okay,
because that was funny. But yeah, we got some emails. We've sent it out. It's going to testing.
We sent it to the beta testers. Yeah. Should we mention EJ at all?
Did EJ give you feedback on it?
No, he hasn't given us any feedback. But he's
moving. He's just moved to Colorado, so he's busy.
Well, we've been chatting with EJ, and he may actually end up putting it on his site as well, on his shop.
Yeah, we might cross promo.
Yeah, which would be pretty awesome, because he's one of the best people in the world. What am I doing? My email, right?
Sucking up to EJ. I see how it is.
I love EJ.
So yeah, I mean, here's my question, because we were trying to figure out a good price point for it.
Yeah,
and it's such a hard thing to
I mean,
a price point.
You're building something, and you want people to like it, and I don't know, like, you don't want to make it overly expensive, but you also don't want to make it too cheap, And this is a light version of our full Luminous one,
right?
So of course it's going to be a little bit cheaper,
of course,
because we didn't have to put as much work into this as we did, the one for Octane, specifically because, we had to build some of the same functionality in the Octane one versus this one. It's, Spotlight is already made in
of course, yeah. Well, and
So.
espresso is a lot of that espresso was already done. It's stuff like that.
Yeah,
but
I was able
sure.
to. I was very easily able to port over several of the Quick Sky and the Psych, but the Spotlight was the one thing that gave me a little bit of trouble
because of the trigonometry. But the question I think for the beta testers should be, what would you expect to pay for this?
Yeah.
Now, how much would you pay? That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because it's a very hard thing to judge, and you don't want it to come out and people would be like, well, that's all it does for that amount of money. I don't, or, that's cheap, or, you know what I mean? You want to find that happy medium where people are glad to pay it to support you.
Right.
And, but they're not saying, oh, well, that's too much for those features.
Yeah. Well, Sage sent us an email. He said, so I've been trying to break the Spotlight. No luck so far. Yes. That's what I like to hear.
That's
good. And so I also haven't had any problems with Quick Sky, but I haven't tested it as much as the Spotlight, and I haven't tried the Psych yet. But yeah, so far, the Spotlight and Quick Sky have been solid so far. So that's good. That's good. Then he sent a whole bunch of other stuff that he would like to see. I won't go over that, because I don't want to plant that. I don't want to incept that idea into y'all's brains.
What was what was it? I don't remember what.
Oh, he talked about little icons for each of the gobos and stuff.
What was the thing he said about favoritism between the two of us or something? I don't remember. There was some funny thing he put in there, but
I don't know.
Just so you know, we're at 137,664 views.
All right.
I have a running counter going.
Weren't we at 137 earlier? Or were we at 136?
No, I don't remember now.
Well,
I should have looked before I refreshed it.
You should type it down. Or you should write it down.
The problem is they might hit that stall out again.
No, I think it's 314,000 now.
Or is it?
It used to be
Tree Fitty. Tree Fitty.
It used to be 314. Then they upped it to 314,000.
Oh, okay.
So
we'll see what happens. Speaking of which, we had the last couple weeks. We had the Pokemon and Pokerock song stuck in our head,
dude.
So
it's the
bad.
worst.
It's the most catchy, awful.
That song is incredibly amazing.
And so
addictive.
It is, but the problem is that we'll be sitting on Skype during the day working and stuff, and you'll just start singing it, and I'm like, stop it.
Well, the you gotta catch 'em up. Anyway, there's this one part that it's got a really good roll, and I really like to sing that part, because I like to sing and stuff.
I like to sing. The problem is that you'll sing it again, and then it'll get back in my head, and then I'll sing it, and it'll get in your head. So now here the running gag is whenever Matt starts singing it, I start singing the theme from Zoobilee Zoo. That's another throwback for you right there.
Zoobilee Zoo.
The millennials don't get that one.
Zoobilee Zoo. Yeah. Magic and wonder are waiting for you.
And it's funny because you don't like it, so I'm trying to do a Pavlov's dog thing, to where like now if you sing it, you know that you're gonna hear Zoobilee Zoo, and you won't sing it anymore.
But it doesn't matter, because then I get Zoobilee Zoo stuck in my head.
That's the point.
Yeah, but would you rather hear Zoobilee Zoo or the Pokemon theme song? If anything, you should start doing that. Because I hate
not that
one.
one. No, the Jerry
Careless
Rafferty,
Whisper or whatever.
No, the Baker Street Blues.
Which one's that one?
That's the other one. That's
yeah. That was awful.
One. Yeah, but anything with Ben Vereen, I'm on board. So I'll stick with the Zoobilee Zoo. Mayor Ben was down.
Builder Beaver is my favorite. Wasn't it Builder Beaver? Build a Beaver?
Build a Beaver?
I'm Builder Beaver.
No.
I can build things on command.
Ben the Beaver? Ben the Beaver. But I'm telling you, Like, that's how you get it out of your head. Just put something worse in your head, and you'll train yourself not to do it anymore.
I don't think that's gonna work.
I've invented the cure for songs stuck in your head.
No, actually, the secret to songs in your head is to end the song.
Yeah, closure.
Yeah.
Listen to it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know the ending to Zoopily Zoo, so that makes it worse. Like, I know the ending to Pokemon. It's just Pokemon.
Right.
But then you immediately go into gotta catch 'em all.
That's
And
the problem,
then it all
right?
starts all over. It's
Songs,
like a big loop.
Songs either end or they do that fade out thing. And
Yeah.
when they do the fade out thing, I don't think your brain gets the same resolve.
It's true.
Yeah. So.
One time I went to a game place. What are those game places?
You mean
An arcade.
Jeez.
When I was really young.
Correct.
And the jukebox was 5 cents. And so I just threw in a whole bunch of quarters, and I didn't. This was before I knew anything about music, and I threw in Crisscross Jump for like 20 times.
Oh God. That's why they jacked up all the prices. You're like the dude who goes into Waffle House and plays the Waffle House song on the jukebox.
There's
You
a
don't
Waffle
do that.
House song?
Oh, dude, yes, there is.
I've been
And
to
if-
Waffle House like once
There's kind of an
with
unwritten
a
law.
potential client, and I was like, okay, this is not the client I want to work for.
Or maybe it is.
No, I didn't get paid from that client.
Oh, the unwritten rule is there's a Waffle House song and you don't play it.
Uh-huh.
That's not cool. It's against Waffle House etiquette. Don't
So,
be that guy.
Well, why would, if there's a Waffle House song, wouldn't you want to play it at Waffle House?
But that's the point. You don't play
That
the
doesn't
Waffle
make
House
sense.
song at Waffle House, dude. You don't do it.
How does it go?
I don't even know. I don't remember. But I've been there when people have played it. And I'm like, no, dog. That's no. It's bad etiquette. Okay, so you got a congratulations that you wanted to do. Here.
Yeah. Shout out to congratulations, Gaten DeSimone. He got married this past weekend.
Congratulations or best sympathies, whichever.
No, congratulations. Dave, would you like to give any advice for how to keep a happy marriage?
Oh, I've told you this before.
What is that?
Well, before you get married, so this is too late. Live with the person. I know. It's against Christian values and whatnot for
Whatever.
some people. Live with the person first. That way you'll know. Second, separate bank accounts.
Matt, I completely disagree.
Oh, buddy.
I completely disagree. My wife and I have the same bank account we have since we got married. You know, yeah. Don't have separate bank accounts.
We just switch. We transfer money to each other. We never worry about who spent money on what and this and that. We know about how much money we have. If someone needs money, we transfer because we're in the same bank. I'm telling you, it is.
Who pays your mortgage?
I do.
So the house is yours.
Well, it's both of ours.
But you're the one paying for it.
Well, yeah, but she has her own set of bills. That's what's so great about
That's
it. We
so
split it up.
weird.
She has.
Yeah, but like, is it even?
It doesn't matter. It's whatever
it
you can
does.
afford to do from your money.
But then
If I'm making more money, I pay the mortgage because I'm paying, or because I'm making more money.
I don't know.
And I said pretty soon she's gonna be my sugar mama. And she's making more and more money. And
I don't
I'm
know.
making
We're
the
making
same.
rock money
And
now.
we're making rock money. Yeah, but we're not paying ourselves any different.
I know.
On our payroll. So
Now this month we're gonna hit the magic number. We're gonna
Yeah.
hit the magic bonus number.
We're gonna hit bonus this month, I think. We've already had a good week.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, like, one of the things when people talk about marriages, man, everybody argues about money. That's one of the big marriage breakup things.
Yeah.
And we've talked about this. Her and I have talked about this so many times. We just don't have the money arguments because we have separate bank accounts.
Yeah.
I go buy stuff and, it may be a little more expensive than she would want me to spend money on, but
yeah.
she doesn't care because she's not looking at it. It's like out of sight, out of mind,
Yeah.
and as long as we're not like, I mean, if somebody is like a compulsive shopper, that's a whole nother story. I get it.
Yeah.
But in general, we know about how much money each other has, and we'll just move money around if we need to. I'm telling you.
Yeah. I don't subscribe to that. I am the put it all in one lump sum, but if you guys are going to focus on paying off debt and stuff like that, both parties have to be on board. You know, this whole move that we're doing right now was a big push to pay off debt. You know, we you know, it was a good choice and we were both on board, and you can't have it. You'll just fight the whole time.
All she has is her student loan debt.
Yeah, I know.
And so honestly,
I don't know. Tell her every day how much you love her. Call her for no reason, just to tell her you love her, and go to Tom Thumb or Kroger or Safeway or whatever is like your grocery store of choice. Get roses at least once or twice a week, or no, once every couple weeks or something, and just have them every payday. Go get some roses. They're like $10. Now, I'm giving away all my trade secrets. These are all copyright Matt Milstead 2016.
And what about for the lady?
What do you mean?
What?
Who cares? Sorry,
nothing at all.
Nah, just let's see. What does Amy do for me?
Oh.
She always tells me I'm handsome, even though I've got this nasty beard. She always compliments me. She always tells me I'm pretty, even though I'm not.
So I've got some suggestions. Show him that you care just for him. Do the things he likes to do. Wear your hair just for him. Does that sound familiar? No?
What? No. What is it? Is that a song?
Wishing and hoping lyrics not doing anything for you?
No.
All right. So let's move on. We did
so
get an email.
Congratulations. That's
Congratulations.
all I wanted to say. He's our bro. You know, and he's a good bro. So congratulations to our bro.
Get separate bank accounts.
Okay. So you're saying that you and I share more bank accounts than you and your wife?
Yes.
All right. But you and I we don't go off spending, our company money just frivolously.
No, but it's a different story. It's a business.
Yeah. Well, you and I talk about like things that we're going to buy.
Yeah.
All right, whatever.
Yeah.
See, if you have that communication, it works fine.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But you know what? What's great about it is if I'm low on money, for some reason, like I had to pay a big bill or do something, or we paid off something big or whatever, and I need money from her, she'll give it to me, and vice versa. So it's kind of like we help each other out in that way. I don't know. It's kind of like a savings, because if we're both saving separately, then we're saving more. I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah.
We just don't argue about it, and that's the part I like about it.
That's good.
Yeah. There's a name here that I do not know how to pronounce.
Yeah, we never do.
I mean, this takes the cake, and I
see.
You want to give it a try?
Zanti Rodriguez Zumaraga.
That's pretty good, I think. That's pretty good. I would have messed that up. I'm so bad with stuff like that. But we got a link from him with a spot that they did using the Brograph Luminance plugin for Octane.
Oh, yeah.
Which is awesome. So we'll have a link to that in the show notes. That's really cool, like being able to see what people are doing with it.
Mm-hmm. And he used it in like a way that I actually hoped people would use it, Like the Gobo stuff in the background. As soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, I recognize that. That's great.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
That's good stuff.
I forgot to write it down, so I don't have the person's name. Sorry, but he posted a link to a video of LaCroix, the music video. The guy who's like Titus on there. I should have written down his name. I forgot to go to the Facebook page. So thank you for sending that. That was awesome. I've been showing everybody the LaCroix video.
Yeah, I've been singing the "Can I Get a Box" song all day today.
Can I get a box?
Can I get a box? We were at lunch today, and my wife asked for a box for her salad that she didn't eat, and I go, "Can I get a box for my salad?
Can I get
a container
for
my ranch?
My ranch." Gosh,
You should post that one on the link
such
too.
a stupid video.
so
It's funny.
My Amy was like, why are you watching this? This is so dumb. I said, when I saw it, I never thought I would actually reference this ever again.
I know.
But
That's what's so funny about it.
Just a couple days.
Could I get a box? Just like all the. Anyway, what time is it? I have to check on I put my meat on low. I still have to check on. We're good. I don't have the Bluetooth crock pot like you do. I have to walk all the way downstairs like a poor person.
We have so my folks live in Hawaii, but they own a house, in the next town over, and we moved into their house. We have now combined a lot of our stuff. We have 6 crock pots.
6?
6 crock pots.
Man, you could have quite a potluck.
Now we're gonna do crock pot Thanksgiving.
Nice.
This year, yeah.
You shove the turkey in there.
Yep.
you could at least do a Cornish hen in there.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Do a hen inside a turkey.
And also on the complete rat hole set of news, today marks the day of the return of Crystal Pepsi, and I'm really excited about that. And I've got a link in the show notes. It is the PepsiCo2go.com product locator, in case you want to find Pepsi products.
Have you found it yet?
I haven't found it yet. It's not it may not have distributed to Dallas yet. It started today.
PepsiCo.com? What?
PepsiCo2go.com/product locator /default.aspx. Thanks, Obama.
Gosh. Product locator / what?
Default.aspx. It's in your show notes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no, it's not.
Oh.
No, it's not.
Just type in product locator.
Yeah, you'll be
fine.
And here's my idea. I had talked about the fact that, we're trying to do more Brograph stuff, and it was a slow start to the week and ramped up. And so I did get a new time lapse out.
Yeah, it looked good.
And that was just on a project we were working on. And then, so I have some other ideas for actual tutorials, just can't get to it yet. It's just going to be a busy month. But you've been watching Stranger Things. You're down to what episode now? You're 6?
I just finished 6. I will be on 7.
So that opening, you've seen the opening a few times now with the...
It's good.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I watched that thing that no locations were found for my product. Oh, that's so sad. My cousin has it. He's up in Utah.
Yeah, I think it just hasn't come down
Nevada.
Here. But so that intro on Stranger Things, I would really like to do a tutorial on it that's how to make this with Octane, kind of like emission textures, and I would like to show how to use the post-processing settings for cameras in Octane, because if you look at it, it's got this distinct kind of lens, I forget what they call it in there, but what do you call it? The
bloom?
Not the bloom, but the other one under the bloom. My mind's blank. It's the... I
don't know.
The streaks...
glow rays or something
the rays, the streaks or whatever, and you can set how many, and it has like a distinct streak on it if you watch the beginning. I've watched this beginning so many times, and in the theater room, this is something we talked about too. You got to watch that show on a big screen. It feels so different watching it on an iPhone.
Nah, I've watched the entire thing on my iPhone.
I know, but I feel like you would have liked it more if you would have watched it in the theater room with me.
I don't know. Maybe. I got my own theater room now with a 70-inch TV.
There you go. You got to finish it off in here and see if it feels different.
I have a 60-inch in my bedroom.
Nice.
Not talking about a TV.
Do you have a TV?
Oh.
So I had an issue with light placeholders this week that I thought was interesting. I use Octane, and you use Octane, obviously. And when you use Octane, you don't use Omni lights,
right?
Regular Omni lights. But
are we doing the quiz again? Because this was on the quiz last week, the Omni lights.
No. We need to do that. I want to do another quiz. I really liked that quiz.
Ooh, we need some write-in questions.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Try and stump us. We promise we won't check the internet first.
Right.
So here's the issue I was having, because when I put an Omni like that in the scene, obviously it's not going to do anything. So I use it as a placeholder, because when you're using lens flares, the what's his butt?
Optical flares. The Andrew Kramer video co-pilot.
Yeah, when you're using that, the really cool thing is that you can name your lights something and say, take all the lights that start with the letter A and apply them to this flare, and you can track them in 3D, and it's real nice to use because it's just simple and just does the trick real quick, because you can bring in your AEC file from Cinema 4D into After Effects.
Or use Cineware.
Well, does it bring in the lights when you do that? I don't even know.
Yeah,
it does.
Yeah, totally.
See, I never
lights,
use
it brings in your nulls, it brings in everything.
And this would be interesting for me to see if this same issue applied. But what happened is I like to set a spot for the sun. And so I set it way back in Z space, because the sun's not going to move that much. So it was like super far back, to the point where it was that there was outer clipping on it to where you couldn't see the light anymore.
Oh.
And so I had it off. The AEC came in fine. And I was like, oh, you have to have the light turned on when you save your AEC for it to import the light, or it doesn't bring it in at all. And so I turn it back on, and the AEC will not import. Like, you drag it in, it doesn't do anything. It just acts like you did nothing. And so I'm like, well, that's weird. And I go back and forth. I turn it back off, and then it would import fine. But I have no light. And I went back and forth on this. Finally, I moved the light back to where it was closer. And it's like there's a clipping point where After Effects won't accept it. Like, if you're, and this may apply to external compositing tag elements or anything, if something is way too far beyond a certain bounds, it might just not import anymore. And I'm interested to see if like Cineware has the same problem, because it seems like it would. It's basically, I mean, isn't Cineware just kind of repackaging the AEC with a little extra information?
So. Maybe. I don't really know.
Just a
I'm not Paul Babb.
Interesting thing that came up. So, and this is off topic, but from time to time we talk about upgrading and stuff with iPhones and such, and with OS X and computers and that whole deal.
Are you going to talk about the new Mac Pro that you saw, the leak? With the touchscreen on it or whatever?
No, not the Mac. Oh, you mean the Mac? Was it the MacBook Pro? No,
Yeah.
That was cool. And it did have the little, it's supposed to have like a little touch screen instead of all the buttons on the top.
I think that'll be cool
that leak.
if they do that.
Cool. But that's not what I was talking about. This is in the iPhone now. There's a new trick, because I'm just such a
nerd.
I'm such an opponent of this automatic update stuff. And even Christy was talking about this today. She's like, I can't update because I gotta do this thing, and I don't want it to auto update because then it might not wake me up in the morning, and I'm gonna oversleep because maybe the phone is gonna brick itself overnight. I don't know. I'm like, that's my problem too. But now what they're doing with this latest update, they're trying to trick you into updating your iPhone, and it just pisses me off. Because you get the screen, right? And it says, hey, there's a software update available. And what do you say? You say, install now? Or install later. Well, before you could say later, and it would say when, or I don't know, maybe that's the desktop, but you would say later, and then it would remind you the next day. The solution to that is go to manage your storage settings and delete the giant update that it downloaded without asking you, and then it won't ask you for a while. The problem now is that when you hit later, it locks your iPhone, and it goes to a lock screen that says type in your passcode to allow it to install later tonight.
Yeah, between like 2 and 4
right.
or whatever.
I
had that do it to me, but I don't care.
But then at the bottom of the screen it says no, don't update right now. Like, here's my beef with that. You say later, and then it brings up the passcode to almost trick you into typing in the passcode. Because if you type in the passcode right there, your phone will update itself overnight without you thinking about it.
And why don't you just update your phone?
Because if it doesn't go off, my daughter won't go to school.
And it's not the end of the world if you get your daughter to school late.
Actually, it kind of is.
Yeah, the world will explode and
Well, it's
we'll all
bad.
die in a fiery...
she's in camp right now even, and like you have to pay a penalty if you show up late.
That's stupid.
Because it's just because of the nature of the camp and like what they're learning. Like they have to be there to learn their parts. It's an acting thing.
Oh, okay.
So what am I going to do? I'm going to show up and be like, sorry, my phone decided to brick itself overnight, so I didn't get here.
So why don't you, if you're going to do that, why don't you just set an alarm?
I like to check and make sure everything's backed up. I like to check and make sure that my phone has backed up my photos into my computer and that my Dropbox syncing to my photos is synced. I don't want to lose stuff.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to surprise, and that's the problem too, is that it may take you 15 minutes to restore or 2 weeks to restore your phone. It is a big cluster sometimes to restore if you run into a problem. And I don't want a surprise day where, surprise, you're going to sit here and fix your iPhone all day type of day. I know you had a ton of work to do, but today you're going to fix your iPhone because you can't make phone calls for your business anymore. And I'm just trying to avoid that situation because all you have to do is like, don't bug me with it. When I decide it's time for me to update, I'll update. Why not?
I'm the opposite. I let it do every single update automatically whenever, and I don't have a problem.
Yeah,
I'm not paranoid parrot.
Let me tell you, I talked about going into the ocean with this phone by accident.
Yeah.
My phone was restoring until yesterday.
What do you mean?
My phone had been restoring from backup for weeks because all these apps would be trying to restore and they couldn't restore. And
yeah, it's because you don't update any of your apps.
No, they're trying to restore the apps from my iCloud. And they just weren't going, or they were stalling, or whatever it was. And then every day it would say, so your iCloud hasn't backed up because you're not done restoring. Do you want to just delete all these apps, or do you want to Of course I want to continue. I got my settings in all of them. I don't want to delete them. And plus, I don't know which ones it's going to delete. And then I don't know what I'm missing. And so finally today, it finished. But it's been weeks. Some of this stuff was just downloading at like 1K for the last 3 or 4 weeks. I'm like, I don't know why it's not working, but some of them are waiting. A lot of them say they're waiting. And so therefore, my phone hasn't backed up to iCloud. So no, I don't want to update my phone in the meantime because I have pictures on here from vacation. I have really cool stuff.
They don't automatically update to or upload to your iCloud all your pictures?
Yes, they do. If the phone can back up to iCloud, which it will not do until the phone is completely restored.
Ugh.
You see what I mean?
You got problems, bro.
It's stuff like that. I don't usually have problems with it, but I just want control. I want to be able to say I'm an auto updater or I'm not an auto updater. Don't ask me if I'm still an auto updater every morning.
So just downgrade to iOS 7. You'll be fine.
Yeah, right. I'll be fine.
Supposedly the new watch is supposed to be coming out or announced in September as well.
I heard about that, and
I hope that's the case because I may actually buy the second watch.
And I
held off on the first one.
I wouldn't buy one except that mine is cracked, so I want a new one.
Yeah, I saw some things, some protectors at Best Buy. Here's what's weird about Best Buy. So I had to buy a whole bunch of stuff in order to get my new office like up and running. And so Best Buy's weird now. It used to be like you could go there and you could buy all sorts of crazy electronics and you could probably even build your own computer out of everything. Now it's like accessories. It's all it is like accessories for your phone, accessories for your iPad, accessories for your GoPro, accessories for, your home. Like, it took me forever to find just like a freaking router, I had to go into like home automation in order to find a router where they sell all the Nest thermostats and drop cams and stuff. I don't know. It's really stupid. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's my big
Go in the route of Radio Shack.
Gross.
So I promise we have some, motion graphics related stuff here. So the one thing I wanted to mention is that I think the deadline to renew your MSA for Cinema 4D is August 31st. We actually did ours because I think we got an email saying the deadline was August 31st. If you want to order a new version or your first version of Cinema 4D, that's this is a good time. You can actually get R17 and then get R18 free if you order by the 31st. So I thought I'd put that out there. And a lot of people, I don't know if everybody's aware of how this works. A lot of people have jobs and their jobs pay for Cinema 4D and whatnot, so they don't know about pricing. And they may be looking at getting their own first copy, but you do have to pay quite a hefty entry fee to get your first copy of Cinema 4D. You can get a couple $100 off if you're a Adobe CC user. It's like $34.95 to get your first copy. But the way it works is you get the service agreement, and every year if you renew before your old one is up, then you get the renewal price, which is usually like $650. So I'd put that out there, and also just remind everybody, like if you have a boss too who's, they have bought Cinema 4D for you or whatnot.
Now, what if they let their thing expire?
I think
can they redo it the next year?
I don't know if
or do you have to pay an upgrading price or something like that?
Yeah, I think you either have to pay like a upgrade price or like full price. I don't know. I don't know how that works. We've always renewed.
Yeah,
but
just stay up to date.
Yeah, I mean, $650 is really good for a business to renew such a big piece of software.
Yeah, yeah, totally.
And like it's something to kind of push at your boss or something, like if you have it and say, look, we got to stay up to date, and if we keep this agreement up, not only do you get that, but then you get Cineversity as well.
Yeah,
they renew your Cineversity because there's a coupon that comes with it, so you can. And what I didn't realize until we talked to Rick, is it Rick at from Cineversity at NAB, was that it renews it every year, because I was under the impression that Cineversity that I had expired and I couldn't get to it anymore. I didn't realize that I could renew it with the agreement renewal. So that's pretty cool. So we got some links
Good
here.
Good stuff.
I wanted to bring this up because we're talking about even ourselves.
Hey, what are our number? What are the numbers at?
Oh yes, let me get that. Hold on 1 second.
Zoobly zoo.
Oh man.
Zoobly zoo. Magic and wonder.
Yeah, it's not moving. Like at all.
It just means that all Americans are asleep right now.
Yeah, it would have gotten at least one. I think it's stalled out, man, because
here, I'll check it.
Well, because the thumbs up numbers are all going up constantly. If you look at it, like they're going up like one thumbs up a second, but the views numbers have actually stalled out completely. I don't understand YouTube's algorithm.
I built a beaver.
Ben the Beaver.
Ben the Beaver. Oh, that's what it is?
I invent things on command.
137,664. Is that what you got?
Yeah, but that's what it's. Yeah, but look, if you refresh, the thumbs are going up. So I don't know. I don't know, man. We'll keep checking it. We'll keep you updated. So we've been talking about PC building a lot, kind of getting ideas of what we want to do with our own.
Talking about external GPUs for 6 months now. I almost pulled the trigger on it today, but like it's one of those things where it's like, what do? Do you buy an external GPU, or do you build a PC, or do you wait until September and maybe Apple will release a new iMac with an external GPU or something?
That'll never happen.
Ugh. It's the worst.
I think that I found some videos. Excuse me. I found some videos about doing your own kind of breakout PCI slots that can be plugged in via Thunderbolt or however you want to do it, where you can, I say cheap, it's not really cheap, but you can build out your own, like, crazy Frankenstein looking PCI slots and load them up with cards. Now, I don't know if there are limits on how many cards you can do based on the motherboard or what that is, but I would like to research that, because I feel like buying those boxes with a power supply and only being able to fit one card into the 2 slots it gives you is just way too much money. It's going to cost you $1,000 pretty much for every card you want to put in there.
Yeah.
There's got to be a better way.
The Bison box external GPU is like $540. And then you got to buy the GPU as well. If you buy it from them, it's super expensive. If you just buy it outright, it's like $500 or $600. So you're spending almost $1,100 for an external GPU. Can you build a computer with a GPU for that much? I don't know.
Probably.
I don't know enough about building my own PC.
Yes, you can build one. Will it be up to spec? No.
Maybe all I do is just go buy another Mac Pro.
That's the other thing, right? Because you could buy.
Because if I could buy a Mac Pro for $500, what's the point?
Right, exactly. You just buy another one, and the funny thing is, we have more seats of Octane. We just don't have a computer to use them in, which is actually pretty funny. We've got a seat for 3D Max.
Sorry, my
and
headphone jack there we go. Sorry.
Did we lose you there? We had a seat for 3D Max, and we have a seat for Cinema 4D that we're not even using because we don't have the hardware for it.
Right.
So,
if
anybody has any suggestions or seen anything like on that whole kind of building, like a mass rack of cards. Yeah, totally.
I almost sent him a message tonight, but I didn't.
So we're looking at that. We're looking at building our own thing, and I like this video. It's been out for a while, but Terry Crews builds a PC. He's becoming like the hero now of the PC Master Race. Because as a celebrity, it's not like a bunch of computer companies came to him or parts companies came to him and said, hey, we want you to pretend like you're doing this thing. He had his idea, hey, I want to build a PC, I'm going to learn how to do it, and I'm going to share my experiences on the internet. And so there'll be a link in the show notes. It's a good video because not only does he talk about what he's building, but you get this kind of glimpse into his life. And at the end, he's showing like his wall of things that he likes. Like those you do like a bulletin board and you put inspirational stuff on it.
Oh yeah. And your dream board.
Yeah, your dream board. Yeah. So he's showing his dream board and all this stuff. I was like, oh, this is cool. Like he's showing people like his real life, And then also on the card front, there are these lawsuits and settlements and stuff that have been going on with certain NVIDIA cards. And, like if you have a 970, NVIDIA owes you $30 because they've under advertised, or I don't know what you would call it. The RAM isn't quite what it says the RAM is, and clock speeds are low or something like that.
Weird.
I thought it was just the 970, but then I had a client call up and say, I've got these 980s and I got email about them too, which I haven't gotten anything about 980s, but I think it's because I bought brick and mortar. I didn't order at Newegg or anything like that. So apparently there's, we bought a lot of 980s too. So I don't know about that. But on the whole Terry Crews thing and the inspiration, the dream board and all that kind of stuff, I wanted to kind of circle back around to a topic and kind of put some topics together that we've talked about before, because there's a lot of times that I kind of get discouraged when I'm doing stuff, and I kind of feel like, well, maybe I should be doing it the way this person is doing it, or maybe I should be doing it the way this person's doing it. And I'm really hell-bent now on just not giving Fs anymore about what I should be doing or doing it like somebody else. And a lot of people, we talk about this all the time. You see people trying to emulate styles. You see people trying to emulate Ash Thorpe. You see people trying to emulate Beeple and say, "Oh, I'm going to do exactly what he does." And that's why we make the joke of dystopian landscape, person looking at the whole thing, because everybody's trying to do that when that's his thing, dog. That's not your thing. So don't try and pretend that it's your style. There's this whole, I want to do what he's doing, or I should be doing it this way because this is how it's working for this other person. And it comes back to what we talked about too, because there's also this whole element of luck. And I think
there's a big element of luck with this stuff.
Big time.
You want to know how we got the rock? Luck.
Yeah, totally. That's what it is. And but there's more to it. It's not just luck. So like the first thing that I think is if I'm going to be successful doing something, of course there's the practice. There's the education, there's the repetition, there's all of that we talked about before. But at the same time, I can go two ways with it. If I'm creating something, if let's say like if I want to create a short, for example, and this reminds me, I think I left it out of the show notes and I got to go grab it, but Trevor Kerr.
Yeah.
He just finished the thing that he did where he did like his own Star Wars short. It's about 2 minutes long.
It was good.
It was very good. And he released the project files on Reddit.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, he went in the Reddit thread today. He released the project files, so you can check it out.
Wow.
He did a time lapse of how he did it. He did all that. It's awesome, and you check that out. But let's say that I want to do a side project like that for fun. What I need to be doing, if it's me personally sitting here, is not worrying about how somebody else would do it. How would Andrew Kramer handle these lens flares? That kind of thing. I just want to always try, and it's hard not to, or it's hard to do this, but have the mentality of I'm just going to do it my way. I'm not going to care about what other people think.
I did it my way.
So it's
welcome to the singing episode of
right.
No, I totally get what you're talking about. And it's I don't know. I find sometimes it's hard when you're trying to just be yourself to not emulate someone else or be like, oh, this is the way they do it. Let's do it this way.
You shouldn't have time. You shouldn't have time to worry about. Like if you're really going to do it right, you shouldn't have time to worry about. I don't know who said this, but I like the phrase. You should be so busy working on your own grass that you don't notice that your neighbor's is greener.
I think that was either on Imgur or Reddit today.
Oh, was it really?
Someone posted on Facebook. I saw that today.
Oh, really? Oh, this is a while back that I saw this, and I don't know who it is, so I don't know how to give him credit. But I don't know. It struck a chord with me because it's true. If you're doing your own thing, just look at all these people who become famous on the internet or whatever it is. They have done something that is out of the ordinary, and most of the time they just did something the way they wanted to do it, and that's why it was special and unique. They weren't emulating anybody else. And again, there is the mixture of luck, which is what drives me crazy about how these people, again, they come into the scene and they try and be a motivational speaker and say, look how much money I made and look how great I did. And it's all because I just stuck with it. And I'm like, no, that's not why. Hindsight is 20/20. Of course you can go back and you can say that. That isn't the case. There are so many people that work hard their entire lives and never get any credit for it.
I don't know. I think if you work really hard, if you work really hard and you've got good enough drive, eventually one of your plans will come to fruition.
Maybe.
But you're right. There is that certain amount of luck that comes with it, like you have to be right place, right time. I don't know.
Well, this is a quote that I can give credit to, and I believe it's pronounced Branch Rickey. I don't know who that is, but that's the credit because I didn't say this. But luck is the residue of hard work.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I like that.
Because it's true. Like, you're working hard your whole life, and there is an element of, like, you still have to be good at it. Like, you can't be crappy at something and become famous for...
no, you can.
No, well, there's... I'm not talking about being famous for being bad, but I mean, like, if you want to be a famous 3D artist, you cannot become a famous 3D artist if you don't know how to be a 3D artist.
That's true. But have you seen some of the really weird 3D animations? Like, they look like bad animations. The ones where it's always like Mel Gibson's face. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, but or the dude who made the bad motion tracking, not bad motion capture.
I don't know. I see it all over Imgur and stuff, and it's really funny. It's really funny, but it looks really bad. But I think the guy's probably talented.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's like either like purposely bad or whatever. But if you want to be Beeple or Ash Thorpe, like we said, like, you can't just not learn Cinema 4D. I mean, you're gonna need to kind of know Cinema 4D first, and then you may do 100 million dailies like everybody is doing right now. They're a dime a dozen. I mean, look up dailies on the internet. They're all there. They're all the same. You know, there's only very few that stand out, and maybe
you should be looking at those hashtag almost dailies,
right? But you know, there's maybe a few that are starting to gain steam, and is that because they're any better than the other 1,000 that look exactly like them, or is it because they have better SEO, or because they're better at marketing themselves, they're better at whatever, or is there luck involved? And that's just, again, that's what irks me about these people who will go on stage. I understand the motivational thing. I think that it might help your drive to continue.
Yeah, but
I don't think it's going to make you famous.
Think about it this way: they're going up on stage because they're getting paid to go there and speak. Say Maxon called us up and said, "Hey, we'd like to pay you $2,000, $5,000, $10,000 to come up here and speak in front of a bunch of people."
I doubt that.
You know, or do your podcast, man. You know, we'd like you to do a live podcast in front of a whole bunch of people and answer questions and blah blah blah. Will you do it? You know, heck yeah. And we'll talk about how we got famous and we're up on stage because we had so much drive, and this is what you need to do.
I don't know if I'd say it's because I had drive. I mean, I would say, I don't know. When I talk to people,
I'll tell you right now, you know, we hit our highest numbers last week, and I really think that the reason we did it is because, you know, I strive really hard to be hilarious in every sense of the fashion.
Stick-to-itiveness.
Stick-to-itiveness. No, like, you know, I mean, we're on the social networks, we're doing our thing, you know, we're working semi-hard.
But
just said semi-hard.
But what I'm saying is, I had a conversation with somebody about this the other night at a party that we threw, and
about being semi-hard.
Yes, well, that too, and we had this whole conversation about how Brograph was doing and how we're loving the feedback we're getting from people, and we love talking to people and that kind of thing. And you can't have something successful if you're being a beehole to people who write in, right? So, you know, I try and write people back. You know, I might not get to it right away, but at least I get to it. You know, I don't know how long. You know, like Gary Vee used to do that all the time. I think he finally kind of gave up on that. But the whole thing with doing that is you could be ready for that, and you could not have the response you want. I've done many podcasts in the past, and I had what you would call a pretty successful podcast, but it was mainly because podcasting was new and there weren't as many people. Like, it wasn't diluted that way. But we had the infrastructure. We had the stick-to-itiveness.
And you were very structured. That was the one thing that I liked about that podcast, is that it was extremely structured.
Yeah, but people liked that. And we had a decent audience, but it kind of hit this wall, and it didn't get the momentum that anything this podcast has, I'm telling you, this podcast has way more momentum than that ever did. And I ran it for 10 years almost. You know, it was like, we just stuck with it for 10 years and we were like, man, it's not going to, what are we doing this for? It's either for fun or if it's not for fun, then we're not going to do it because we're not doing it for the money. We're not doing it to build a brand. We're not doing it for, there was nothing left. We were burnout. Burnout. We thought it should have more response than it did.
So why are you doing this podcast?
For those reasons.
Yeah.
Because
for the money. It's mostly the money.
Well, it, like anything, it starts out for fun. Then you get a good response, and then you're enjoying talking to the people, and then it snowballs, and then, you know, we also have a brand, and we have product, of course.
Step 1.
Yes.
Start podcast. Step 2, ? Step 3, profit.
And that's the thing. We're talking about the rock thing and Twitter and all of that. You know, you just do stuff and see what sticks. And some of that might be because you have a good podcast, or you're ready for it, or you had a lot of practice, or you're sticking to it. And some of it might be luck. We could have done this podcast for a year and had 100 listeners, and it never went any further than that. It's just to me. It's, again, there is some sort of luck involved in that. Because one person tells another person and so on, or they don't.
Yeah, the podcast is really just one giant pyramid scheme.
That's true. We tricked all of you. No. But that's the thing. Like,
it's all a big Ponzi scheme.
If Urban Coffee would have gotten that response, I mean, the response is what gives me drive to do it more.
Yeah.
When you get emails from people saying that they like the show and doing cool stuff and making,
they're a former
fan
Maya
videos
user and now they're C4D and loving the podcast.
Like, that's the thing. Like, it makes you feel, okay, well, we're talking.
That email made me look really cool in front of my wife today.
when you don't get any response, like you don't feel like anybody's listening.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where we got with the old show, where there was no response, and to the point where, like, we would go months without anyone sending us an email, and we're like, is anybody out there? Are these all bots downloading the show? Or are we talking to ourselves?
Out there?
So, you know, I'm that's why I'm really liking this. But again, that conversation I was having with Dude the other day, I'm like, you never know. There's another podcast that I produced that I had friends that were doing the show. They were doing a sports podcast.
Yeah.
And we started it. It was pretty successful. Kind of fell off. We relaunched it. We relaunched it again at another point, you know, because different points people had stuff going on or not going on. It was so good. Like, I heard it, and I didn't know anything about sports. And I'm like,
sport ball.
It was totally R-rated, just nasty graphic humor or whatnot, but there's a huge audience for that. And the thing about it was, like, they were so good. Like, they had such an incredible synergy, and they were just they were just really good with each other, and they came up with funny quizzes and sketches and skits, and the whole thing. I was like, why is this not popular? And it's because some of it was, I don't think the stick-to-itiveness of them was as high as it could have been. There could have been more, but again, luck. Somebody could have heard it, and it could have gone a completely different direction. Yeah, and I think it would have been incredibly successful.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like we've been pushing the podcast pretty hard, like, or at least we did from the beginning. You know, we haven't had to push it as much, right? Like, right now, it's been pretty good word of mouth. Yeah, you know, and us just, and it's so funny. I do this at least once a week. I'll do a search for Brograph on Twitter, and I find all the people who like one of our videos on YouTube. You know, it always says so and so YouTube this video, and I always like their status, and I send them a reply that says that's a pretty good one with the winky face. You know,
I noticed that you said
and
that.
Almost always we'll get a follower or a response or something like that. You know, I mean, that's just, I don't know.
But people love interaction too. I mean, look at the people who are, like, totally, like, stoked because The Rock is talking to them on YouTube. It's the new way of doing things.
Yeah.
You just like be a real person.
Yep.
So
So
let's go into this Octane stuff, and then some emails,
boy.
and then we'll be out of here.
Let's, okay, there's been a lot of drama this week, not just with the Octane stuff. I feel like, so I've been on Twitter watching stuff, like I am. I'm always on Twitter. I've always got my Twitter feed up. And I saw Kid MoDrama talking about someone stealing his work and remixing it and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know too much about it. I actually want to send him an email. Kid MoDrama, if you're a listener, then props. I like your stuff.
I don't know if he is.
But I'd like to know more about this stuff because, I don't know, he had some beef. So, I don't know, there's just been a lot of drama on Twitter. Like him and that going on, and then all this Otoy stuff. Like Otoy has been apparently like a couple of people quit or got laid off. I'm pretty sure they quit.
Yeah.
And Otoy like sued the crap out of them, to a point where they couldn't work anymore, and couldn't get unemployment benefits.
Yeah.
Oh. And basically trying to force them to come back to work.
That's sucky,
and then
man.
saying that they're stealing their intellectual property and stuff. And it's like, oh gosh, is this all that's involved in a startup? Because if it is, sign me up.
It makes them out to be very litigious. Mm-hmm. And I don't like that because I want to like Otoy.
I do. I don't know. Sometimes I do worry about them as a company.
I do too. Because
they're getting too big too fast,
Maybe. Yeah, I mean, are they losing sight? I mean, I don't even know because they don't talk about that stuff. Their Twitter...
They really don't.
Their Twitter account, they don't even talk about Otoy stuff. They just retweet things.
Their Twitter account. They retweet everything, but even stuff that doesn't have to do with like 3D or graphics or anything. It's like, oh, I like this funny episode of Rick and Morty, retweeted by Otoy.
Right. I don't get it. It's like somebody has that account and they're using it as their personal account almost.
Right.
And the thing about a company like Maxon, it's such a night and day difference because Maxon has such a great reputation with customers and people using
Paul
it,
Bab
fans
2020.
And all that. Yeah.
Hashtag Paul Bab 2020.
No, feel the Bab.
Feel the Bab. Well, it's
Feel the Bab 2020.
Paul Bab 2020. Hashtag Feel the Bab.
Feel the Bab.
I'm going to make those t-shirts.
Totally.
We're going to wear them to next year's NAB or SIGGRAPH.
Yeah. So here's the thing about Otoy going into this is they're already very secretive. They don't talk about anything. I want to be a fanboy, but they don't want to talk to us. You know, even when I came to them and said, hey, I have potential for 40 licenses of Octane for a client, and I would like to know if we could talk about maybe getting 40 friggin' licenses. Can we work something out? Nothing. And they said we prefer. I tried to get a hold of a phone number. They said we prefer to talk over email. And I sent them something. They don't care. They're like, unless you're getting 10,000 licenses, we don't want to talk to you. And I'm just like, what? Like, I don't know. There's no human side to them like there are with some companies.
Yeah. I get that.
And that goes back to our conversation before about having a human face and like interacting with people. You know, for example, somebody sent me an email this week and said I forgot I had a USB key with my plugin on it, and it got corrupted, and now I don't have the plugin anymore. Did you send me something? So I said, yeah, here, I'm going to reinstate your 24-hour, activation download, and you can get it again. And like, I hope, hopefully there'll always be some sort of human level of interaction there, even if it would be great. We, blew up and had somebody who was in charge of software or something, but I don't want it to get to the point where it's so robot-y that somebody can't do that. Yeah. Or it goes unnoticed or whatever it is. And hopefully that was cool that I was able to personally go to that person and say, yes, here you go, and reactivate it for him. Or somebody personal can be there. If that happened with Otoy, it would get put in a queue. You get an auto response. You may, like take Pix4D that does all the imagery stuff, the photogrammetry stuff with drones and things like that. I had a problem with their software when I ran a trial, 2-week trial back in December. They just responded to my email
saying, sorry, we're not working anymore.
Saying, sorry, we're going to look into this thing. I'm like, I forgot about your software already because I couldn't fix this problem. I couldn't open anything that I had saved. It said it was corrupt. So I'm like, I couldn't do a tutorial on it. I couldn't show how it works. I couldn't play with it and save it for later because your stuff didn't work. And I tried everything. But that was 6 months ago, and I've moved on. And so when it comes back to Otoy, I feel like if they could just have a human face, that would be so great. Because I want to be a fanboy. And the problem with this is now when something like this comes up, even though I have been described as the poster boy for Octane on the internet.
That is true. You have been.
I feel like because I have no relationship with Otoy personally, that
you're more inclined to trust the people who are actually putting this stuff out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You'll have more of an emotional bond, I guess, between the people putting out this stuff versus Otoy, who is robot.
Well, because it makes them seem like a faceless corporation.
Yeah, it really does.
And then this only makes it worse because it makes them look like a faceless corporation.
Yeah.
You know, I want to be objective with it, of course. I want them to succeed. I want to be objective because I'm a fanboy. I don't want to dismiss these claims of these people either because I'm a fanboy. I want to try and be objective, but it seems I'm more inclined to side with the other people because Otoy has no humanity to it.
That's funny.
I mean, I'm sorry. That's just how it is. You know?
No, I agree.
Shut up and take my money. But
we have an extra Octane license that we're not even using.
Yeah, 2 of them. So
that's funny. No, you're totally right. You are absolutely right. Octane, I have always hated that about their company, is that they just don't feel I don't know, real or something like
Where
that.
Where are they at NAB? Why weren't they there at the Maxon booth at NAB talking to people?
Because they don't care about NAB. They care about SIGGRAPH. SIGGRAPH is their thing. Because they were there. They were there. I saw them retweeting stuff.
I don't know. They didn't have to set up a booth at NAB. Just have your guy there talking to fanboys. You know, you got half your audience probably using Otoy.
I agree.
So
So go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
So I'm just going to briefly go over these 2 different things that happened this week, just so we can kind of...
And it didn't happen just this week. It's been happening over the course of they came out.
Yeah.
So but and we'll put it in the notes so that you can kind of read over the whole thing if you want.
There's a lot.
But it really just there's a lot. It really puts Otoy in a bad light, that they're just being a bully almost,
That's what it is. And this guy, he said, let's see, from June 23rd, 2011 to October 10th, 2012. So this is 16 months. Otoy fought him in court when he quit his job. All the while they threatened to sue whoever employed me. So this guy went on somewhere else. So he said, as a result, I went 16 months without any income whatsoever. He said they hired a law firm to fight me in court. This occurred within a year after I graduated college on top of it. So he had student loans, and he had stress from work and the lawsuit, and he developed some heartbeat problem because of the whole thing.
Yeah.
And had to go to hospitals and all this other stuff with no money, no insurance, and California unemployment wouldn't give any money because they claimed he could still go back to work, even if his employer was trying to...
He had quit.
Yeah.
He had quit, and they were trying to sue him to come back to work.
Right.
It's like, that doesn't make sense. If you quit a job, you quit a job. And you shouldn't. Why would someone want to come back to work, especially if you're suing them?
Right.
That's stupid.
Own you. And I don't know about California, but Texas is like a right to work state, and a lot of this stuff doesn't hold up in Texas. A lot of it. I mean, you can straight up sign a contract that says I will not go work for anybody that uses Cinema 4D ever again, and you could sign it, and the next week quit your job and go do it, and it probably wouldn't hold up in court. Yeah, like it's really tough to enforce. So, you know, he says their first attempt to justify the lawsuit was to accuse him of stealing valuable intellectual property when he left. They immediately stopped pursuing this avenues when they realized I didn't even possess a computer. He said the next attempt was to accuse me of having made advances toward the company's president, that I had decided to leave after feeling rejected by the advances. They stopped pursuing this when Discovery revealed documented conversations between me and my friends and myself of my own concern that the company president was hitting on me, and how it was worth affecting the. So that area I'm not sure about. You know, that could kind of go both ways. But when they had nothing better to accuse me of, they interrogated me on my Christian faith, claiming that I might divulge company secrets because God might ask me to do so.
That's
like,
messed up.
What is going on? Like, this is ridiculous. They also accused me of applying for work after I left, not with companies that did compete with them, but rather with companies that could eventually compete with them.
Yeah, but that could be anybody.
Right, exactly. And you can find this in the deposition transcript. He has it all laid out. Like, he's not just saying, like, this, there are legal documents that say this. It's like you should not take this medication if you are pregnant or think you might become pregnant. It's like, well, can't every woman might become pregnant?
Yeah.
Become pregnant? I mean, it could be anybody. So no woman can take it? So that's kind of like what it's saying, right? Yeah. Because when you hear that statement, you're like, oh, if you're pregnant or might become pregnant. Well, what does that mean, really? It means like if you're thinking about becoming pregnant or you think you might. It doesn't mean if you might become pregnant as in you're a woman and there's always the chance you could get pregnant. It's the same thing. It's like, well, someone who could compete. We might possibly be competing with Octane someday because we might build a company and build our own render engine.
Yep.
So no one can work for us. That worked for
I hope
Otoy.
that's the case.
Yeah. So to wrap this one up, in 2013, the IRS contacted me. This is a few months later.
This was my favorite part.
After the lawsuit, they said I had forgot to pay taxes on $300,000 in unclaimed income. This value was near equal to the amount Otoy paid in court costs, coincidentally, according to the judge. The IRS said they got this information from a 1099 that they claimed to be filed by Chenoweth Law. I've heard of them. Who is?
I've only heard of Kristen Chenoweth.
I've met her.
Have you?
Yeah, I'm name dropping.
One day you should tell your Taylor Swift story.
Oh yeah, someday I will. Man. The only parties involved in this trial knew that they had ever represented me. To boot, Chenoweth Law never had a copy of my social security number, so it could have not filed the 1099. Of course, you know, you can find that stuff. The 1099 said the money was from court settlements. However, court settlements are not necessary to be declared on 1099s. Chenoweth Law also had no such records of any 1099, nor had they paid me any money from court settlements. So after discussing my situation and the story of Otoy with the IRS, they quickly dismissed the 1099 as fraudulent. And now they should get in trouble for that.
Yeah, they should.
They ceased the request for $300K of income, despite. I mean, it was like they did it just to create a hard time.
Yeah.
You know? So despite this, they made no further efforts to track down the origin of the 1099, which they should have, because he could get damages back for doing something like that.
Yeah.
2015 to boot, even after the lawsuit dust settled, and after the IRS tax fraud dust settled, I get a letter in the mail claiming that Otoy owes me $167.55. 100
right.
whole dollars. That almost makes up for the years of unemployment, the health issues, the lawsuits, the damages done to my reputation. All I have to do is get in touch with Otoy's accountants or something and collect money. What could possibly go wrong there? It's like they're baiting him into interacting for some reason.
Yeah.
And so there's all this documentation on it. And so that's going on. And then this other thing comes up. And now when I first caught wind of this is Andrew Kozlov versus Otoy. He himself posted this in the Octane in the Octane group on Facebook.
Oh, that's interesting.
Himself. And we were like, oh, okay. Now, this is a guy, and I've heard of this, but I don't know anything about it. He made F-Storm render or something. Is that right? He made F-Storm?
Yeah, I don't know.
Now,
PokeRock is 138,000 right now.
Nice. Now, I'm not going to read all this like I did the other one, because this is much, much, much more detailed. I mean, this dude has written a book.
It's like 41 pages.
Yeah. And it's very interesting. If you want something to look at, check this out in the show notes. I've also downloaded, and this is what I recommend. When you come across this kind of stuff that may be on a server somewhere, save as PDF.
Yeah.
Because you never know when the stuff's just going to disappear. Now, in a nutshell, here's what's going on with this thing, because he actually mentions what's going on with Christopher Moore that we just talked about. Now, this guy, he seemed to have a lot more involvement in Otoy, as far as what he has written down. Because he came on.
He
early.
seemed like he was actually like a huge part of it.
Right.
Like Otoy couldn't have gotten where they were without him.
Yeah, and he was also kind of the Ahmed Akhtar of 3D Max.
Yeah.
In a way. Because he really had like a major part in porting to 3D Max, the plugin.
And I think some of his ideas or whatever got turned into, got implemented in 2.1 overall,
Right, because he was actually on board when it was refractive software. So this is before it even became Otoy. There was, I don't know if it was a merger or a buyout or something like that. This guy has a master's degree in engineering sciences, Moscow Engineering Physical University. So, and then I guess he became a 3D artist, and he kind of got an understanding of what people were looking for, because he had these kind of two synergistic backgrounds.
You've used synergy twice.
I know. I like using the D-bag words.
Well, we are bros.
Yeah. So the problem with this particular dude is that, of course, he's getting sued because they're saying that he stole stuff. And he says a lot of the breakthrough Octane render features were actually things that he came up with because users were asking for stuff and he was responding to it really quick. He's like, oh yeah, we could totally do, it's one of those things. He's actually talking to people, just like Ahmed talks to us as far as the Cinema 4D version of the plugin is very responsive. And that's the thing. He's not, he's the person for us that is the human face. Right? But Octane Standard, the base company itself, just doesn't exist. It was the same thing in this situation. He's got all these people who are fans of his because he's making things happen, and this is what makes a company great. He's doing that stuff, but then he decides to leave. And so they of course sue him, saying that his render engine F-Storm is using all of this stuff. Now, the thing is, when you get F-Storm, just like any other service agreement, there's copyright restrictions and stuff. It says you should not and shall not attempt to modify, reverse engineer, disassemble, or decompile F-Storm render for 3D Studio Max. Well, if you open this up, you are agreeing to those terms. So they agreed to the terms, yet they still reverse engineered his piece of software. Because in the deposition itself, it's talking about, hey, these what are they, DLL file or DLR files?
Yeah, I don't know.
All contain these same pieces of code or whatever it is. And you know, his big thing about this is like, if you look at the sizes of some of the files that they have, like, he's saying that the Octane files are way more bulky and bloated, and that he's like completely gone into his thing and he's totally optimized the code. He's probably closer to the metal, whatever it is. He's got his down to 883 kilobytes, and there's this like 8,400 kilobytes. It's like he's optimizing all of his code, yet they're still reverse engineering and saying it's theirs, especially the fact that they violated the service agreement by doing that in the first place. Down to the fact that now they're doing things like showing screenshots where they're comparing the two render engines, like Octane and his side by side, and they're circling things like things that have to do with motion blur. And saying that he's...
Oh, yeah, and like the user interface of 3ds Max and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, well, that was all built in... It's very similar between V-Ray or Arnold or whatever.
Right.
It's all the same user interface, and they're claiming that he stole it from theirs.
Right. That you can't claim that the UI that allows you to select your motion blur on or off is your invention.
Right.
How else will you turn it on and off?
So dumb.
I mean, you can't become a paper company and then claim that people are copying you because they also make paper.
Well, unless you're a paper copier company.
Dunder Mifflin.
Anyway.
Yeah, so they bring up stuff about V-Ray and whatnot, but he has this whole thing lined up, and it's the same thing. It's all just similar UI stuff, you know. It's just a bunch of garbage where they're just trying to do this. And he mentions Christopher Moore. He says, I have to mention that Otoy has an addiction of suing its ex-employees. Most of Otoy's employees have fixed term employment agreements with long periods, 2 years, and a huge restraint of trade period. Otoy also links New Zealand employment agreements with the USA-California laws. I don't know how that works.
Oh, that's interesting.
He said, in the case of New Zealand High Court, I will deliver the F-Storm render source code for judicial independent expertise and comparison with the Octane render source code. So he's very, very confident in this. And, man, why does everybody have to be so litigious?
Yeah. Whatever.
So... And that takes us to the Syriac controversy.
I know. A lot of drama. This week. So Syriac posted on Twitter, and I actually retweeted this. There was a company down in Buenos Aires that got hired by McDonald's. This company is like a advertising agency or whatever that used... Syriac's work, his like old cow video of the cows dancing, as reference when showing McDonald's what they could do, or like this was like some inspiration, and then McDonald's liked it, and they just ripped it off, straight up ripped it off. Did their own cows dancing the exact same way to the exact same tempo, and it's messed up.
So crazy.
Yeah. And and that company got paid for it just to basically straight up rip off someone's work. And like I don't know, like ripping off someone as big as Syriac, I mean, he's known within this industry, he's up there with Beeple and Ash Thorpe and stuff like that, to me,
Yeah, and his stuff has been around a long time. That video is old.
Yeah, it's all After Effects.
Yeah.
A lot of his stuff is all just After Effects. But yeah, and so McDonald's pulled the ad. they found out about it and they pulled the whole thing, which is good. I tried finding it. I couldn't find it anywhere. But what was the name of the company?
I found a clip of it. Side by side.
Oh, yeah. Like he tweeted that out.
Yeah. That's all I could find.
DPZ&T was the name of the company that straight up stole it.
That's the problem, though, is it's probably not them stealing it. It's not like the company said, hey, let's steal this. The problem is there's probably somebody in the company who's a kid who's out of college and doesn't understand that that's a bad thing. That's what I think. I think they don't have control over that, and it's understandable. I mean, you got 100 people working at an ad agency, and there's one guy who maybe saw this video and he brings this up, and if everybody else is unaware of it, you can't control that. It sucks. I get that part of it. I think it was you who mentioned something about the guy who actually faked it had talked in an internet forum.
Yeah. Someone tweeted it, Syriac, because when I saw this, I was a little furious. Like I was mad because it's just something you don't do, you know? And you don't do it so blatantly obvious. If you're going to have dancing cows, fine, you know, because Syriac's the inspiration, but don't have them bend and move exactly how his cows do.
To the exact same beat verbatim.
To the exact same beat and tempo. Yeah. So, anyway, like, someone had said, like, they commented on... It was like this guy, the guy from DPZ&T was on some thread somewhere, like he had posted it, and someone said, hey, this looks just like Syriac's, you know, blah, blah, blah. Have you seen it? And the guy said, oh, yeah, we used it as kind of our inspiration. We wanted it to look more realistic, but McDonald's liked the inspiration the way it was, so we just went with it. It's like... So you straight up admit to finding Syriac stuff, showing it as an example, and straight ripping it off.
Right. And we used to do that at the agency we were at, like show people examples of things, but it wasn't saying, hey, we're going to do exactly this.
That's normal.
That's normal.
I want to say that's normal in advertising or marketing. You know, you kind of show like, hey, this is an example of a whiteboard writing video.
Or you'll do an inspiration board where you'll take images from different things. I mean, that's what they did back in the day before all the digital stuff. Cut pictures out of magazines, you know, kind of come up with a style, you know, that kind of thing, show these examples, and then you come up with your own, just like anybody else. You know, we get inspiration from different places, and we say, I want to do this style with this thing, and I want to mix this here. That's not ripping off. Ripping off would be like, for example, the video that we did with the Dove for the holiday video this year. Like, the inspiration was the HBO video because it was made out of paper, but there was nothing about it that was anything like it except for the fact that it's made of paper. You know, it's not like we went frame for frame and made all the same models and all the same people and it did the same thing, you know, because that would be a ripoff. And I really, honestly, I think it comes back to, I'll just blame millennials for it. No, I'm just kidding. I won't blame all millennials, but I will blame the generation of kids that rip stuff off and don't realize it's bad. Or they know that
that's the YouTube generation.
Yes, but they rip it off and they know that it's wrong, but they think that...
You know, I don't even think that these people know that it's wrong.
No, they do, because here's the thing. Every time I've seen a video like this, they will post it on YouTube, and in the description, they will say, I don't own this video, so don't take it down. I'm admitting I don't own this. It's like, but you're still...
placing ads at the beginning of it.
You're still breaking the law.
Yeah.
Like, that's what doesn't make sense to me. There's a fundamental lack of understanding when it comes to this. Now, I don't own this video. I don't own this. This music isn't mine. Yeah. Well, we know, but you're still not. It doesn't change anything. Yeah. You think someone at YouTube will be like, oh, you're admitting it. Okay, that's cool.
Oh, they gave that disclaimer. That's good. Yeah. Now people can still come over here and listen to this music for free.
Right.
Whatever. Anyway.
I feel like there's that mentality that is not being taught.
Yeah.
And so these kids grow up and then they go work for an ad agency as a first year student or intern or whatever they are, and maybe land a lucky job doing a little piece for a web video for McDonald's. And they're like, oh, yeah, we're totally going to do this. And then the people that employ him don't know what just happened.
Yeah.
Because how could anybody be that stupid?
Yep. Anyway.
But they removed it, so, you know.
Good.
But they owe Syriac some money, I think.
Yeah, I
his
agree.
trouble.
I totally agree.
But the exposure was great, right?
Yeah. Let's get out of here.
Yeah.
We got a lot of work to do.
We do. I wanted to go over some emails, mostly short, before we go. We did have some questions about the time lapse. About I just thought that was fun. This was funny because it's just me being lazy. But asking about, why I put all the writing on the windows and the banners and stuff as actual geometry. And the answer to that is because you're going to only see it from far away for this project, and it's a good time saver because I'm lazy and I can move stuff around. Wherever you can cut corners like that, it's cool. I wanted to ask you a question on this.
Okay.
Frank Pionk. Says, bros, heard you again mentioning that the Mac Pro 2008 doesn't run El Capitan. It actually does without any problems. Also, Mac Pros 2012 and newer will run the new Sierra. Now,
yeah, I looked that up. I actually went into furious Google searching after I read this. And yes, Mac Pro 2008 will run El Capitan.
I thought you had an issue with that.
No, it's Mac Pro 2007, I believe, won't run El Capitan. But here's the thing. I was saying my machine won't run OS X Sierra. I was right. Mac Pros 2009, which I own, will not run Sierra.
Okay, because that was my...
You have a 2010.
No, I don't.
Oh,
Mm-mm.
I'm pretty sure you have...
No, mine's the same as yours.
Oh, well, never mind.
That was my question.
So it looks like we're still not going to run Sierra.
I think that was the thing, is that my question to you last week was, will the other ones run, or is it all of these towers?
Yeah.
So that's kind of good news for us, because if we wanted to find an old 2012, we could upgrade those and still be golden for a while.
Yeah.
That's good.
Doesn't matter. We'll just buy a PC.
Yeah. So thank you for that, Frank.
Or an iMac and get an external GPU.
Yeah. Somebody was asking about doing, you did your tutorial with the 2D animation lip movements. And could you do that for a 3D character?
Yeah. Yeah, actually, I've thought about doing a tutorial like that, and totally you could. Here's what you would do. So basically you would create your 3D character, and I'm pretty sure this is how they do it. You create your 3D character, and wherever the mouth is, well,
you put a null.
Okay, you could do it a couple different ways.
External
Put a null.
tag.
External compositing tag, and then just match the mouth movement to, parent it to the external compositing tag. So wherever it moves, it will move with it. Or you can get the audio, grab the audio, do your mouth movements first, and then export that as a texture, and then throw that on there.
Or if you wanted to do it in full 3D, you could use a sound effector and some espresso.
Yeah, probably.
To use the waveform to drive different kinds of mouths. So
yeah.
And then the big email we were talking about earlier that we wanted to mention was from Perry Haravas. And
yeah, I think that was pretty good.
He says, "Hey guys, fantastic podcast and much needed in my opinion. Would love to talk with you someday on my own personal switch from Maya and Softimage to Cinema 4D. A few years ago, I wrote a book about Maya 16 years ago, and was one of the alpha testers of Maya, which that's cool. Some of my presets still ship with Maya. However, I become I became disillusioned with it after using it for about 10 years and switched to Soft-Image for another 10 years, and then Autodesk killed it. The book is available on Amazon if you have trouble sleeping and need something boring to read. I looked at this. I swear that I had this book at one point.
Oh, really?
I'm pretty sure, like way back
That's
in the
funny.
day. And so there's a link to that. We'll put that in the show notes.
Oh my gosh, me too. I swear I have.
Yeah, you see it? Like, I know I've seen that book cover.
Yeah, totally.
At least saw it sitting on a shelf somewhere at school or something.
Uh-huh.
I can't
like,
remember.
I had to buy that one for my Maya class. That's funny.
So after that, I resolved to move away from the high-end DCC apps and do as much as possible in something easier to use. And if I had to learn another 3D tool, I wanted to save some time. What I learned, however, was there was very little learning curve with Cinema 4D. So what I gained was a huge amount of time and very intuitive control over my scene elements. Also, I worked at WWE, World Wrestling Entertainment.
Yeah.
I guess before they decided to get into the wildlife business, right?
No. Let me give you a little bit of knowledge here. WWE is now World Wrestling Entertainment. They became WWE when WWF bought WWF bought WCW, and so like there's this whole whatever WWE. That's what it is now.
I'm gonna have to.
Back in my day when I was growing up, it was the WWF.
I'm gonna have to ask The Rock about all this. Verify.
Yeah. Right, because we talked to him.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. It's quite an interesting split between the two apps. Personally, in my feature film work, I had much better luck using Cinema 4D, and I would love to discuss that as well. Actually, there are many artists out there that you guys should talk to, all with great insight into production in the fast-paced TV world using Cinema 4D, and you may even know some of them already. So if you're interested, let me know. So yeah, that would be cool. We want to have more people.
Maybe we'll have Perry Haravas on our...
Yeah.
And we'll ask him questions out of his book.
And then two quick social short ones. Very extreme core just had to let me know a couple things. First of all, for us, glad to be back with you guys. Still loving the show. Number two, so wait, does the audio sync really replace Pluralize in Premiere? Absolutely. But just a message to me, just to make sure I'm on my game. Keep up your game, Dave. Otherwise, Dan is gonna be pissed.
Yeah, Dan Benjamin.
No,
I'm assuming. Dan.
No, Dan.
What?
That was for my story last week.
Dan.
I'm totally telling Dan about this. Yeah.
Who is Dan?
Dan. I don't know who that is. Lady, you're scaring me. And
that's funny.
Steven Kugler on Twitter asked, is there any book advice for understanding materials, lights, and lighting in general? Thanks for the work, by the way. I know there's a good Maya book on lighting. That worked out well.
Oh, that was good. That was good. Bringing it back. Bringing it back.
But, here's the thing. Materials and lights is a different thing. Lighting in general, yeah. Like just regular lighting books. I don't have one specifically in mind. I don't remember because I don't remember what books I read when I was in college. There's nothing that stands out in my mind. I don't know if you did. Did you take a lighting class or anything?
I took an actual lighting class where we were physically lighting stuff, and really the biggest thing, I don't know, honestly, the biggest thing that I've ever learned about lighting is 3-point lighting. So if you want to learn something about lighting, learn 3-point lighting. Google it,
Totally.
Look it up. 3-point lighting is where lighting is at. Now, if you're doing interior design lighting, it's a whole different ballgame. So, lighting for interiors is completely different.
Yeah.
You busting out that LaCroix?
I found a new one.
How does the song go again?
LaCroix. What is it? It's not Enjoy. What is he? Oh, when you drink LaCroix, I don't remember now. It brings you joy. That's what it is.
Is that what it is?
Yeah. Caviar. What is it? Yeah. What's the tightest thing? It reminds me that you were reminded of. It reminds me of
Pinot Noir.
Pinot Noir caviar. That's what
Pinot Noir Terry Gar.
Yeah. So as far as materials and lights though, like I don't know if they're really. I mean, there's not a specific interaction.
Sorry, I'm watching this LaCroix video. Love it.
There's not an actual like interaction thing with materials and lights that I would say is much different from the real world, right? Mm-hmm. So like if you have a table and you throw some lights on it, it may look fine if you have some sort of like diffused material on it, and it lights it up okay. But what happens when you turn it to specular? You might see reflections of the lights that you don't want to see in it. Same thing would apply to the real world, because if you're trying to light something on a table and you bring in a wood table, you may be okay. But what happens when you bring in a glass table? All of a sudden, you're just getting all this glare and all this other kind of stuff. That's a real world type thing.
Yeah, I ran into a really big problem doing an interior render where I had basically granite countertops, but full like windows, outdoor windows, walls, and all I was getting was just giant reflection. And then I was like, yeah, sure, I'll block it off with a flag and stuff like that and make it look fake.
V-Ray or Octane?
I believe that was probably V-Ray.
Because the one nice thing about standard render is that you can put compositing tags on just about anything, in standard render,
and you can do
ignore.
You can do that with V-Ray as well.
And you could say ignore this reflection from this one object, or ignore this specular coming from this other thing. That's really something that I wish it was an Octane, because it becomes way more real world, because it is kind of that real world physical thing. You can't say, and there's so many times I get like something is like lighted properly, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh wait a minute, I can't put this here because now it's glaring all over the place. So it's really more about, like, I don't have a general suggestion for a specific book, but it's just like anything that really helps you kind of get down lighting is great, because like we said last week about the Omni lights, I'm just gonna throw Omni lights everywhere.
Yeah,
it's like
you could man, lighting's a tough thing to get your head around. It's tough. I don't know any books or anything to do it. 3-point lighting is the best for products. Interior lighting is a whole nother beast. I don't know.
I used to do in standard render a lot of specular lighting, like specular only, which is cool because you could do like these like really harsh 80-degree down specular lights that would really hit up your bevels and I would even sometimes put a special similar texture on my R1s just so that my edges and bevels would be like super specular with lights that only affected them. You can't do any of that there, so you really have to fall back on your practical knowledge.
Yeah.
So I hope that helps somehow. It's not the best answer, but
sipping on LaCroix
brings you joy. Okay, well, now that
he must be Peter Pan because he's got that green can.
So stupid.
Oh my gosh.
We got to give credit where credit is due. Do you want to check? I'm going to check this while you check iTunes for.
Oh, I already checked it earlier. We have a new review.
Oh, go ahead and read that. And we have to give a shout out now for this LaCroix video because we've referenced it too many times.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
All right, so
it's Rakim is the sipping on LaCroix.
Oh, like the rapper?
I don't know.
The real rapper?
Rakim is the one that it's under.
It's not the real Rakim. This guy looks like Titus with the Weeknd's hair.
Yeah. I love one of these comments said, "I can't believe this isn't viral. This is the best thing on the internet as far as I'm concerned." All right, so we got a new review last week. Yeah, says like Cinema 4D. This will be hyper relatable. Says they're the best friends I never had. Motion graphics, gamers, joking is abundant. Be aware. That's it.
Nice.
Good stuff.
Okay.
Thank you, Dreamcube017.
Here's the credit. It's Rick Bogus. I bet you that's a fake Facebook name, or maybe not.
You think so?
You never know. Bogusz. How do you spell? How do you say that? How do you pronounce that?
What is it again?
It's Bogusz.
Bogus. I don't know.
I wonder if that's one of those. I'm hiding myself on Facebook, so
man, I'm posting this on my Facebook wall.
Oh yeah, that's good stuff. Along with the, can I get a box?
Can I get a box?
Oh,
you need to post that one as well.
That'll be in the show notes as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, let's get out of here because we are now delirious and have to begin working.
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh. Oh yeah, we still have to stay up for a couple more hours and work
and post a show, which I might do in the morning. So if you're listening to this late, that's why.
Yeah, because here's the thing with my new internet service, you're talking about a 3 gigabyte file getting sent over to Dave at 500K a second. Ugh.
Yep. Well, we'll see what happens. You can rate us on iTunes, leave a review. You can subscribe to us. You can buy a t-shirt, which we see some people have been buying t-shirts.
Heck
no
yeah.
Brograph, no MoDrama tee, and the new one coming up.
If you buy a t-shirt, take a picture.
Oh, yeah.
Or make an awesome video like our good friends did.
Yeah. Can I get a box? We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, sometimes, and of course, YouTube and Brograph.com. Look for us in all those places.
If you just want to say hi and talk to us throughout the day, hit us up on Twitter. We will literally talk to you.
Like literally. As opposed to just talking to you. Not literally. Which doesn't make any sense.
If you want my phone number, just tweet at me so that you can call me anytime.
I wouldn't go that far now.
If you call me, I'll sing you some Sippin' on LaCroix.
Oh, man. I can't wait to find out what happens. Somebody's going to do it. Somebody's going to do it.
Nah.
Paul's going to do it.
Maybe. I don't know. I'll give him your number.
Now that I said it, he's going to do it.
All right.
Well, everybody, thanks for listening. Until next week, I am Dave.
And I'm Matt.
Have a good one.
Later, bros.
It's pretty good, I guess. Brograph.com, an online resource for learning critical components of Cinema 4D and After Effects, specifically catered to help you prevail as a motion graphic designer.
What's up, bros? Welcome to another Brograph motion graphics tutorial.
We give you professional time-saving tips, shortcuts, and lessons that help give you an edge over your fellow designers. Not only this, but our new Brograph Talks help you in your file management, hardware configuration, and client relations.
I love projects that scare me. When our art director comes to us and asks for something that I had never done before, man, it gets me pumped.
Join us for live sessions, check out our crazy Cinema 4D experiments, or just watch our Fun with Brograph series, where we show you practical applications for techniques learned in previous tutorials. Do this from the beginning, and your client is going to respect that, and they're going to respect you, and they're going to respect your time. Subscribe today and get automatic updates on the latest tutorials, tricks, tips, and inspiration brought to you by industry professionals Dave Koss and Matt Milstead, all with a slight dash of dry humor peppered in. Real nice banana.
Brograph.com, your source for tutorials that will help you thrive in the motion graphics industry. Don't just play around with Cinema 4D and After Effects, master it, and make money by becoming indispensable at your workplace.
We don't care how you get here, folks. Just get here. Subscribe now to Brograph Tutorials. pretty good, I guess.